#ancient humans were smarter than us. You're about to learn something that completely contradicts everything you've been told about human progress, and it might genuinely upset you. We've spent centuries telling ourselves the same story. Humans evolved, we got smarter. We built civilization, we became better. It's the narrative of progress, and it's taught in every school, every textbook, every documentary. But what if we had it backwards? What if the smartest humans who ever lived weren't walking around in 2024? What if they lived 50,000 years ago? Before you dismiss this, listen to what modern archaeology has actually discovered. Brain size. Ancient humans had larger brains than you do. Homo sapiens from the Ice Age era had cranial capacities that averaged around 1,500 cubic centimeters. Your brain, about 1,350 cubic centimeters, smaller. And brain size correlates with cognitive capacity. That's not controversial in neuroscience, it's established fact. So immediately we're starting with a structural disadvantage, but it gets worse. Working memory. Ancient humans needed to navigate environments that would make modern humans completely helpless. Imagine this. You're hunting in a landscape with no maps, no written language, no GPS. You need to remember the migration patterns of 15 different animal species. You need to know which plants are poisonous and which are medicinal. You need to recall intricate routes across hundreds of miles of territory. Your working memory needs to be exceptional, or you die. These weren't abstract skills, they were survival requirements. Archaeological evidence shows that ancient humans created tools of staggering complexity. The Solutrean culture, 30,000 years ago, produced stone tools so refined that modern researchers who trained in the craft say they take years to master. These weren't just sharp rocks, they were engineered. They showed understanding of geometry, material properties, force distribution. This wasn't luck, this was intelligence applied systematically. But here's what really separates them from us: attention span. Modern humans check their phones 70 times per day. 70. We're incapable of sustained focus. Our attention has been deliberately fractured by technology specifically designed to keep us stimulated and distracted. Ancient humans had the opposite problem. They had nothing but time and nothing but focus. A hunter tracking an animal for days needed unwavering concentration. A craftsperson perfecting a tool needed hours of unbroken attention. These weren't exceptions, they were baseline requirements. Now, let's talk about what you can actually do with your brain. You can probably recall your schedule for this week, maybe the names of people you've met recently. You can probably do math if you've been trained, but can you navigate by stars? Can you identify medicinal plants by appearance? Can you craft something complex from raw materials? Most people can't. Not because they lack the genetic capacity, but because they lack the necessity. Ancient humans had all these skills by necessity, which means they had all this neural real estate dedicated to actual useful information. Here's the uncomfortable truth. We're not smarter because we have intelligence. We're smarter because we have extensions. We have writing, which is an external memory. We have calculators, which are external computation. We have GPS, which is external navigation. Strip away all of that, and what are you? You're a human with a smaller brain, weaker focus, less developed working memory, and a complete inability to survive in any natural environment. We call this progress. We invented tools to compensate for our cognitive decline, and it accelerated. With each technological innovation, we outsourced another function. Agriculture meant we didn't need to remember foraging locations. Writing meant we didn't need to memorize information. The printing press meant we didn't need to copy manuscripts by hand. The internet meant we don't need to remember anything. We can just search for it. Every time we invented something, we got slightly dumber in that domain. This isn't pessimism. This is how specialization works. When you have external memory, you don't develop internal memory as well. When you have calculators, your arithmetic skills atrophy. When you have GPS, your spatial reasoning declines. We've traded being generally exceptional for being specifically excellent at using tools, and then we called it evolution. But wait, there's a counter-argument, and it's important. We might be individually less capable in isolated domains, but collectively we're more capable than any human has ever been. A modern biologist knows more than an ancient human could ever know. A modern engineer can build things an ancient human couldn't imagine. We've traded depth for breadth. We've sacrificed the individual polymath for the collective genius. Is that a good trade? Depends on what happens if the system fails. If you lost everything, civilization, technology, infrastructure, an ancient human would adapt within days. They had the cognitive tools already installed. A modern human would struggle for weeks just to find clean water. The knowledge is in the system, not in the brain, and systems can collapse. But here's the real question. Were ancient humans actually smarter or just different? IQ tests were designed by modern humans to measure the specific kinds of intelligence that modern humans value: pattern recognition, abstract reasoning, speed of processing. But they don't measure spatial memory, they don't measure attention span, they don't measure the ability to survive in wilderness, they don't measure craft. If you gave an ancient human an IQ test, they'd fail miserably. They'd never encountered multiple choice questions. They'd never seen symbols on paper. They'd never practiced the specific cognitive skills the test measures. If you dropped that person in their own environment and tested their survival intelligence, you'd get a different result. So were they smarter? Maybe not, but they were more complete. They used more of their brain for practical, essential functions. Their intelligence was applied, not theoretical. They couldn't read, but they could navigate by stars. They couldn't do calculus, but they could craft a blade. They couldn't write, but they could remember stories that encoded survival information for generations. We traded those abilities for the ability to store information externally and process it collectively. That's a useful trade in a functioning civilization, but it's a trade. We got something, but we lost something in return. The uncomfortable reality is this: human intelligence hasn't advanced, it's just migrated. It left the individual brain and moved into the system, and as long as that system functions, we're fine. Better than fine, we're extraordinary. But the intelligence is fragile, it depends on infrastructure, it depends on the internet, it depends on things working correctly. Ancient humans didn't have that vulnerability. Their intelligence was distributed across their neurons, not across hard drives. If they lost a tool, they could make another. If they forgot something, they could rediscover it. They were robust in a way we're not. This isn't an argument for going backward. We can't. We don't know how. And the benefits of modern civilization are real and substantial. Medicine, comfort, reduced suffering. Those matter. But it's worth acknowledging the cost. The smartest humans who ever lived might be walking around right now. Or they might have died 50,000 years ago in an ice cave, their exceptional intelligence lost to time and entropy. We'll never know. But what we do know is this: we're not the pinnacle of human intelligence. We're just a different expression of it. And whether that's progress or just change depends entirely on what matters to you.